Don't you hate it when you have an epic monster, but how it's represented on the battle map as some kind of square completely clashes with what you're describing to your players at the table? Think about the giant purple worm. They're gigantic, terrifying, and mobile. And yet we think the only way we can represent them on our battle maps is by using a static 4x4 tile because the DMG told us so. But you want that worm to feel like a worm. You want that dragon not to feel like it's cramped up in a literal box, but to be able to spread its wings. Maybe you want to make a yokai that's exceptionally creepy, where its neck can extend 20 feet out to go and bite someone. And you want your players to see and feel what you describe when they look at the battle map. You want to give your monsters what I call an unusual footprint, something beyond a square. Let's go back to that giant purple worm. What's one thing that worms and snakes love doing? Coiling around things. Sometimes they're so big that they have the ability to surround you and completely block off your exits. So why not, instead of just having one square, what if we had 9 different squares where they can all move independently from one another so long as they all stay connected? See how by movement alone, all of a sudden I can visually show a player being coiled around. And now that we can do that, think of all the possibilities that open up to us that didn't exist before. Perhaps whenever a player gets encircled, they automatically become grappled. And for them to get out, it's not a saving throw, but instead about finding a way to physically become uncoiled. Think of all the cool spells that are all of a sudden now super important. Or perhaps when the worm tries to dive underneath the sand, you can give your players a really interesting opportunity to wail on it before it disappears. Maybe there's even some regions of the purple worm that are more susceptible to attack. The possibilities are truly endless now that we've broken out of our literal single box. But what if a box really is the best shape for a creature? I mean, it is really easy to deal with, but who says it has to stay the same size and shape the entire time? Look at one of my favorite creatures, the jelly, the ochre jelly specifically. You know why I love this guy so much? Because he is refreshingly different and has a mechanic no one else, I believe in the Dungeon Master's Guide, has, which is when it takes a certain type of damage, slashing damage, it splits into 2 different creatures. All of a sudden, just from that alone, the battle map has completely changed and your players are infinitely more interested and engaged in what's going on. So what if we took that concept from the jelly and applied it to something gigantic like a rock golem? Well, for starters, maybe we have the rock golem change its size over time from a 4x4 to a 3x3 to a 2x2, depending on how much health it has left. And why not give it new properties each time it changes? Like the Iron Knuckles in Ocarina of Time. Their AC could lower each time, but in return, they get to attack way more frequently and potentially more powerfully. Last example. Remember the long-necked yokai I mentioned? What is it that makes them feel really creepy? It's when our favorite characters run away from them and out of nowhere, this neck extends out and tries to grab our favorite characters. But it feels so lame to just say it happens, especially when your players know that this neck has to stay stretched out by 20 feet after the bite for some period of time, meaning that 2x2 square on the battle map no longer represents reality. So what if, just what if, when the neck attack happens, we take that square token and stretch part of it out by 20 feet to literally attack the player. Similar to what we just did with the purple worm. And just by doing that alone, do you see the magic? Not only do I get to show and not tell, obviously, but now I have the mechanics of the game working on my side to tell the story, and the creature has become far more terrifying. Just look at how much more attack range it has until its neck retracts, and how many more options the players have to hit it. Maybe it's weaker and more susceptible to attack if you hit it in the neck region. Or just think about how much more danger it is now that it has so many more attacks of opportunity it could make on your players. These are just 3 examples, but I hope you're starting to feel inspired and thinking of the wild and crazy monsters you could make and completely improv on the fly just by changing the size, the shape, or the size and shape over time of a monstrous token. So I want to challenge you. This next session you run, your very next encounter, take 5 minutes and use this unusual footprint mechanic in your games and tell me how it goes.